So a huge danger with psychology from a Christian perspective is that psychology is very good at gathering scientific data about the human brain and how the brain will respond to certain traumas and mental illnesses. And they have all this scientific evidence, but what they do is they then attach their own interpretations and meanings to it. What I mean by this is that they're effectively taking what is objectively scientifically true and they are moving into the realm of philosophy with morality and ethics. And from a Christian point of view, they're moving into theological territory because they take the scientific data and they start applying their own reasonings and their own interpretations to that data. Therefore, a psychologist can then tell you how to live your life, what behaviors you should be engaging in. They can dictate your morality. They can tell you certain behaviors are good and healthy. But you see right there is the problem. How do they define good and healthy? How do they define the purpose of life for a human person? Because you can't actually understand these things separated from the transcendent God, who is the source of objective truth and goodness and morality. So you see how they move from science into philosophy and theology. Therefore, when they engage in their practice, they're actually moving out of their territory. I'll give you a couple examples so you guys can better understand where I'm coming from. Let's say we have a group of psychologists that are performing a study and they say everybody here seems to respond very well to these certain types of meditation or new age practices, or take it a step further and say every single patient responds well to religion and it doesn't matter what religion it is. From a Christian perspective, we can say these things are not objectively good if they contradict the objective truth of the Christian faith. But psychology, within their worldview, they can say, well, these things are objectively good and healthy, because you see how they are defining those terms, good and healthy and moral, entirely separated from the Christian God. Another great example, let's say we have studies that show women are healthy after they get an abortion. You know, a woman gets an abortion and she's very satisfied with her choice. She's peaceful, she's calm, she's happy. So psychology will then interpret that as saying, look, this person is doing very well after they get an abortion. But you see the disconnect from Christian morality here, that we know abortion is a horrible sin, but psychology within their worldview can redefine the terms and say things are good even if they're not. So they're moving from scientific facts into the realm of morality. And if you go into this as a Christian, you can see how they can cite the scientific studies, but then they're moving out of the realm of science and teaching things and practices that are fundamentally incompatible with a Christian worldview.